Today in the crypto space, we see the market taking a bit of a dip to the downside. Bitcoin right around $70,800, down approximately 1.5%. Ethereum coming down more than expected, down approximately 5%, back to the $2,500 zone. And the rest of the crypto space, the altcoins, deep in the red. We have a few dips: AVAX, Polkadot, Near Protocol, Aptos, and many others. And the question is, do we be buying the dip? In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, but more importantly, I want to talk about one project, one altcoin, one layer one. Definitely a hot topic, Solana. So you know what? Let's talk about the news. Let's analyze the charts and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunity. Whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 8 p.m. EST, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover here on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. You can hit me up on the socials. The links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. All right, guys, let's begin. Let's see what's going on here with this market. We do see that the overall market cap, let me refresh this real quick just to make sure that we're getting the right data. The market cap, was going nice and sideways, and now it's getting a bit of a Bart Simpson pattern to the downside, a bit of a dip here. You can see that we're slightly below the $2.5 trillion market cap. All good, guys. Remember the days where we were around 2.1, 2.2 for a good while. No big deal. We run up, we come down for a retracement, then we go up for another higher high, and that's the name of the game. At the current moment, we do see the trading volume coming down while we were going sideways. We got into a bit of a dip scenario, and the trading volume got a bit of a spike, but not that much. Considering that we did come down 4% in market cap, I could have expected a little bit more volume here. Now, that's a good sign. It's a good sign suggesting that there's not a lot of market participation in this dip, and overall low volume moves are ones not to be trusted. So I am preparing accordingly for a recovery. Now, it could be that we're very, very close to the elections, obviously about 6 days away. And as we get closer, individuals that are, investors, such as us, you and I, we look for the opportunities in which we get the most data. Now, of course, leading up to it, we can get volatility, but why not wait for the elections to come and go? And that's what maybe a lot of people are doing, waiting to see what happens with the election results in order to make their next decisions. However, guys, it could be that this is the last opportunity before the market runs in order to get in with good risk to reward ratio prices. This is the reality. Now, we do see Bitcoin pulling back, Ethereum taking a bigger hit than usual. And as I mentioned yesterday when I did the video on Ethereum was still in structure. In fact, Ethereum was reaching the previous highs, many touches on those highs, and got rejected. So it's not a good look, nonetheless. And Ethereum is still in that stance where it could be in a bear flag, or it could still be in a pivot point structure at horizontal support. So it's a very 50-50 shot. The thing is that we're relying on Ethereum. A lot of us are relying on Ethereum to give us a signal. But more so, we are relying on Solana to actually maybe surpass Ethereum with that top spot. And the reality is it's possible. As we see Solana coming down, it's not as much as Ethereum. Solana is coming down 2.6%, Ethereum's coming down 5.3%. And keep in mind, Solana's market cap is smaller. And how is that even possible given the fact that larger market cap altcoins generally are a lot more volatile? We're looking at and comparing Ethereum with a $304 billion market cap and Solana with an $80 billion market cap. Obviously there's a bit of a spread there, but the reality is that Solana should be more volatile. And in times of uncertainty and doubt and, things like that, fear, we should see Solana dip a little bit harder, but it's not the case. So I think the overall sentiment in Ethereum at the current moment is troubling, given the fact that it's reacting a lot harder to red days, and that is not a good look for ETH. Now, Solana, obviously, a lot of people are rooting for Solana. To be honest, I'm one of them. I don't mind Solana doing well and flipping ETH for the top spot. I'm okay with that. The reality is that it needs to happen soon. We can't wait that long, guys. We need to really get this show on the road, because capitulation happens in two styles. Obviously price, getting people wrecked, and capitulation, and obviously time. The longer we go sideways here, the longer we just go drag this out, the more and more people leave the space, and capital basically flows out with them. And that's not what we want. We want inflows rather than outflows into the market. All right, guys, so let's continue looking at the top 100. Just quick scrape through the top 100. We can see that a lot of projects are dipping down. Not many of them making lower lows. It's just a nice retracement. AVAX dipping. I know that AVAX have some really bullish upgrades and some games that are coming out. I think that AVAX at the current moment is slightly undervalued, and it could be a great buy opportunity. Let's see how we can hold up here with this dip. If we can get some bottom of the range price action where we can consolidate and get a nice pivot point structure. We want a bit of support at these bottoms as we're dipping in order to get in with some security. We do see dips everywhere. Near protocol dipping, Aptos dipping, everything's dipping today. We got red days. This is the time to consider to go shopping, a little bit of shopping, a little bit of DCAing, especially if you're on the sidelines. What's interesting is that we're seeing Kaspa look okay. And this is generally what happens with Kaspa. When the market looks like trash, Kaspa looks great, and it's up 5%, while the rest of the market's looking like pretty bad. As we keep on going down, we can see the market in general, on average, is down approximately 5%. Now, what we really want to see is the last 7 days. Is the last 7 days dip, equate to maybe a double-digit dip? Then that might be pretty good. Polkadot not looking good. Definitely a double-digit dip right there. We have Celestia still coming down 20%. Celestia is getting to that zone where it's getting enticing, guys. At the bottom of the range, it broke down significantly, and it's at a level where it needs to desperately hold. Thorchain Rune rolling over a little bit here, and you can see the market's looking really, really red overall, guys. So big question is, do we be buying the dip? What kind of dips are we buying? Which narratives are we buying? Which chains are we buying into? And so on and so forth. All right, guys, so obviously let's take a look at some of this price action. I know you're here to talk about charts, so let's begin. Let's take a look at what's going on here with Bitcoin first, just as a leading indicator. We want to use Bitcoin as an indicator because Bitcoin shows us volatility. It can give us an indication of what we should be doing and how we should be treating our bags, and how we should be allocating our capital towards altcoins. And obviously we have been seeing a bit of a dip here lately, and because of that, we're seeing altcoins obviously fall a little bit more than Bitcoin, and this is why we're seeing a Bitcoin dominance spike to the upside. Guys, let's take a look at this in a little bit more detail. Again, reality is that we got to follow Bitcoin. I know a lot of you watch the videos and wonder, maybe why is Mike looking at Bitcoin each day? And because everybody, it's an indicator to me. I use it as an indicator. We have to realize that, the same way we use typical indicators, like my custom indicator, Synergy Signal. If you want to know more about it, there's links in the description, or the MACD, or the RSI, or any other indicator for that matter. The same way we use those indicators to give us an edge, I use Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin has a big influence over the volatility of the other market, and it's because it basically holds a lot of capital with regards to market cap. And when Bitcoin looks bearish, the fear kicks in, and it causes the micro caps to be very, very volatile, right? So obviously market cap is super important. Now, just keep in mind that I did mention this very early. Okay, I've been talking about this dip for the last maybe 48 hours or so, and you can see that it's kind of playing out. I wanted to see it fall, and the only reason why I wanted it to is just to get it over with, because I saw that the 4-hour was showing us weakness. Now, if you look at the daily's still bullish. Let's be real about that, because I'm talking about shorter time frames. Daily's still okay. We're still upwards trending. Momentum is still pushing to the upside. We didn't get severely overbought just yet. It's still possible. Very, very possible. Now, if you look at the momentum of the trend is also looking good. Trend is looking good. EMA is facing up. Green histogram bars to the upside. We're looking okay still. But the 4-hour is where I have a bit of a problem with. Why? Because the 4-hour is still pushing to the downside. Momentum, you can see here an expansion, although it expanded very nicely to the upside. The reality is that expansion wave, this green wave, is slowly tapering in, and it's likely that we start to see a bearish response that is a lot more than even what we've seen in the last little bit. It doesn't have to be, but what about if the momentum, the purple line, gets oversold and comes all the way down here? That's my concern. My concern is that when we get to these extreme levels, sell-offs like this, it could happen that we do see extreme movements in the price. Now, we could see a mean reversion. I can anticipate that happening. The purple line and the yellow line are way too far away from each other, so we can see them kind of meet halfway, and we could probably get a bit of a spike to the upside, and then eventually continue to the downside and get oversold. If that's the case, guys, we're going to have fire sales across the market, and I'm going to have to ask you, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to buy the dips, or are you going to just watch those dips come and go? Because that's the reality, guys. If we'd see the Bitcoin price come down to these levels, let me just show you what I mean, to these levels. Let me just bring this down a little bit. Let me expand it. This is the diagonal support line that we need to hold on. If we come down to this level, it's likely that that's when we see the momentum oversold. Right? In the meantime, we can see a volatility spike, orange line move to the upside. That's possible. And on the way down, go for that next spike to the downside. And in the meantime, we see something like this: lower high, and then come down for the lower low. And that's when we get that hit. So you can see that we're going to be grinding upwards and then back down. That's very, very likely. In the meantime, we get a bit of a jitter right into here in the chop zone, and then we get fully oversold. If that's the case, guys, you're going to get some good fire sales throughout the market, 100%. In the meantime, I am still bullish. I am still super bullish on the bigger time frames. I am prepared tomorrow to start rejigging my portfolio because I feel like I need to consolidate a little bit and get some more exposure into the altcoin market. But of course, I'm going to be signing on that dotted line. I'm going to be prepared for short-term volatility, because even if I do organize my portfolio tomorrow, it doesn't mean that we're going to be done this dip. I just have to understand that I'm going to be taking a bigger hit than expected in the short term on spot. But ultimately, big picture, guys, again, big picture. Let's go back out big picture for a second here on Bitcoin. We are breaking out of this descending broadening wedge. Okay, we broke out of it. Technically, we need to break out of the horizontal resistance, which is the psychological level at about $74,000, and then ultimately the big structure that we've been looking at here is the massive cup and handle that we need to eventually break out of. Okay, so this is what we're dealing with right now. All right, guys, so that's Bitcoin. Now, how does this translate into altcoins? If Bitcoin runs, it could continue sucking liquidity out of the market. But the problem is that we have to understand is that if Bitcoin gets into price discovery, that introduces risk. That introduces risk to Bitcoin. Why? It's because we don't have any price action looking left. And that is the signal for early investors, individuals that got in early and have great amount of profit, to start de-risking. And what they do is they start rotating into altcoins that have not left the station yet. Now, I'm not saying that all altcoins are undervalued. I'm not saying that. And in fact, there's new projects that are very volatile and can do very, very well. We just got to make sure that our portfolios are well balanced in preparation for an altcoin season, which means that Bitcoin rotation will happen. People will take profits off of Bitcoin as Bitcoin runs up and slowly rotate into the altcoins. Because again, we want to buy low and sell high. Bitcoin getting into price discovery is at that level of high level zones, and we start looking for projects, altcoins that have not left the station. All right, guys, so that's my 2 cents right there. Let's take a look at what's going on with Solana. The reality is Solana, in my opinion, has a lot more growth still. It is a large market cap, right? We're not going to make life-changing gains on Solana specifically. We're going to do well. I'm not saying not, but we're not going to make a 50xer. We're not going to make a 20xer. We're not going to make a 10x overnight. If we make a 10x, guys, it's a really good job. And then you know what? It could happen. The only way it's going to happen really is flipping the ETH. And it is part of the narrative. It's part of the idea that's floating around here in the last little while, which is possible. And this is why, personally speaking, I sold all my Ethereum and got into Phantom. I didn't buy Solana. I bought Phantom because I think Phantom, it definitely could be a good competitor to Solana. And Phantom has a huge market cap, a small market cap in comparison to Solana. But Solana is still a beast. And Solana could give you that stability that Ethereum has given us for multiple cycles, and give you the stability that even Bitcoin could give us in the short term while we're in a bullish rally, while still exposing us to some volatility and taking not as much risk. What I mean right there is that we should be risk on. And if Solana is probably the best right now, the best project to get risk on, and at the same time not take so much risk So the balance of risk and reward is definitely there with Solana. It's a large cap. It's likely not to be so volatile like a micro cap or a smaller cap layer one. It has good fundamentals and foundation and community and so on. And the reality is it could definitely do a 5 to 10. It could do a 10x. It could, but it's got to do that job in flipping ETH, in my opinion, to actually get to that zone. Ultimately, this is looking pretty good. Looking pretty good because it does look like a bull flag, big picture bull flag. You can see a nice big impulsive move to the upside. It does look like it may want to roll over because there's a bit of weakness to the downside, but it's been holding this horizontal support many times. A lot more needs to happen in order for Solana to fall below the $120, right? That's a very crucial level for the Solana price. It needs to stay above there. Now we're toying with the 200 daily. You can see that we're above it. That's great. But ultimately, I'm expecting a breakout out of the structure. I'm expecting this to become a continuation pattern to the upside. And despite the little bit of negativity that we've seen in the last 48 hours, you can see that Solana has been holding up pretty well. Now it's been respecting TA. It did get rejected off the diagonal that we identified here early on, and I still remain bullish above these levels, above 120, and the best risk to reward ratio opportunity to scale into this project is at about 120, as close as possible if you can get there. And obviously the level of risk increases once we get to about 200. You might want to scale a bit of profits up to this because we're in a very nice range. You know, it's not very clear because it is a diagonal structure, but it's still somewhat clear that $200 is a good level to maybe take a bit of profit. But we've been in this structure for way long, very long time. And the reality is eventually we need to break to the upside or even to the downside, but my bias is bullish. It does look like a continuation. We got a nice impulsive move. All these individuals that got in very early, okay, I got in here at these bottoms, are looking for profit-taking opportunities, right? This was a great profit-taking zone. This was a great buy the dip zone. This is also a great buy the dip zone. And ultimately, I think that after a bit of a structure here, we're going to be looking for another expansion. We're going to be looking for the next leg to the upside. And after one impulse, let's classify this as one impulsive move, retracement, the third impulse or the third move, the second leg should be the biggest. Okay, so technically it should be bigger than the first leg to the upside in order to satisfy Elliott wave theory's impulsive structure. If this is going to be a 5-wave structure, which is an impulsive move, and this is leg 1, wave 2, and wave 3 technically needs to be the biggest, which means that it needs to be bigger than the first one, guys. If it does, this thing's going to start to fly. So the reward is there. You know, the risk mitigation, given that its market cap is large, is there. Its stability is there. Its ecosystem is growing. Everything is looking good for Solana to take some risk, to get risk on. Now, if we look at momentum and overall, we need to, pay attention to what's been happening here with momentum because we have been kind of sideways. I feel like while we're in this chop zone, we did get slightly overbought a couple of times, okay? We didn't get any major expansion. So I'm starting to see that the daily is quite useless because we're going sideways. It's literally not doing anything. If I want to get an edge, unfortunately, the probability of coming down to oversold conditions is still there. Because the reality is we got overbought already. We got our expansion. You can see that. We went from oversold and we expanded all the way up here. And the price did the same thing. Now, all of a sudden, momentum is getting some support in the chop zone. I'm worried of the fact that we continue coming down and get oversold. Is it possible? 100%. We can't deny the fact that it is possible that we do see Solana come down to those levels. And again, we got to be prepared for that scenario. Now, alternatively, what about if we get support in the chop zone? Now, if you look at previous cycles, every time we are in a very bullish trend or a very bearish trend, the mid zone, the chop zone, could act as support or resistance. The thing is that, are we really in a very strong bullish trend? I know the market in general is not, but Solana is. Look at the strength of this expansion. Look at the strength of this price action. I don't really believe that we're going to get into an extreme oversold state where we're going to be coming down to about $50. The reality is that's the target. That's the bearish target. If we start breaking down, we're hopeful that we use the 200 daily as support. We're hopeful that we come down to 50 and get support here. This is usually what we can expect in a bear cycle where we're going sideways, or bearish trend, we're making lower lows. But is this the case? Is this where we are in this cycle? In my opinion, obviously not financial advice, guys, I feel like the ideal place to get support is still $120, and still to remain bullish on the fact that we might get the support in the chop zone, and still entertain the possibility of that dip, but still take some risk, guys, into this level. Because if we do come down again to about 120, guys, that's the best risk to reward ratio opportunity. Now, in the meantime, if we can produce a bull flag here of some sort, okay, on lower time frames, it might make more sense. If we get into a bull flag, let me just kind of rearrange this for a second and get rid of the oscillators, because the oscillators on lower time frames right now are useless, in my opinion. We're looking for big structural breaks for bull run. If we can kind of like use this as a cup and handle and get into a structure into this level and put a stop loss underneath and build a position right here for the next move, guys, that's probably the best scenario. Because it may not happen that Solana, has enough bears to bring it down here again. It may not happen. And if it doesn't, you're going to be missing out, obviously, on Solana. And more so, guys, Solana ecosystem. I would be scaling into Solana-based projects as well, not just Solana, because Solana's market cap is massive, but the projects built on Solana, a lot of them are still very, very small. So you're getting the support of a big network effect that Solana has, and still getting into some micro caps, some small projects that have a lot of room to grow still throughout this altcoin season bull run. All right, guys. So generally speaking, I'm bullish on Solana, but as of now, what we have to understand is that the bigger time frames on the 4-day, we need that support on the chop zone. If we can get into a bull flag, the daily's still looking good, the 4 hours still looking okay. What we need to do is form some sort of structure here where we can build a position right into the zone, and then eventually maybe put a stop loss underneath here, and hopefully we go for that next move to the upside and see Solana break bullish. That's what we really want, is breaking bullish to the upside as a continuation pattern. And obviously we see that this resembles Bitcoin's structure, cup and handle, the market cap, overall market cap structure, cup and handle, and many other altcoins that have been doing well, basically flagging out into this cup and handle type of structure. Guys, if I've offered you any value in this video, do the channel a massive favor, slap the like button. It does really help out with the algorithm. If you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description below. Feel free to join the Discord, guys. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. Take care, guys. Have a good one, and don't forget, buy the dip.